Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to this channel. So tomorrow we celebrate America's 250th birthday, and it really is quite the point of celebration. And when you think about the United States, everybody around the world has an opinion. All the citizens of the United States have opinions. And what's interesting is the talking points around those opinions have not changed in 40 years. Okay, so in 40 years, all we have to talk about is the same stuff we were talking about 40 years ago. And we've used terms like make America great again, which basically just means keep the rich getting richer, keep the poor getting poorer, and don't prosecute those who have injured the innocent, and basically allow the innocent to continue suffering. That's what make America great again looks like. Here's the point. I think America's a great country. And how do I know America's a great country? Well, if you're somewhere else in the world, you have to understand this. There's 195 countries in the world. 195 countries in the world, okay? One of which is America. And how many countries outside the United States receive financial aid from America? Go ahead. Put your answer in the comments below. How many countries in the world do you think get financial aid from America? 179 countries out of the 196 countries in the world get financial aid from America every single year. And here's what I want to say about that. That says that America is the greatest country in the world. Why? Because every other country in the world, with the exception of less than a dozen, are held up by America and held up by funding from America. So that makes the citizens of America the most important citizens of this planet, because we pay for everyone else on this planet. So all the countries that hate us and talk about terroristic type expectations for America and all the hate for America and all that around the world, they're able to do that because we pay the bills that they can't pay. Okay, and at the end of the day, it's the American military that is the true right arm of the world. It's the American military that has been used as a police state and then has been used for far worse in the last 20 years. And so when you think about this, you have to think, why is it if America is helping 90%, 95% of the earth fund what they're doing, why do people see us the way they do? And there's one answer for that. It's the same reason Americans are upset with America. Our politicians are the worst on earth. We go back and forth and talk about left and right and all this nonsense, and at the end of the day, they are practically all the same. And then we talk about good and evil, but now in the world, everybody claims to be a Christian, and the majority of them don't understand what that means. You've even got a president who is currently on a list of people that have done something very vile that we're not going after, even though there's been a law made that says we have to go after it. But the other point is, if you look at the wealth that he's gained for himself, especially in this term, it's shocking how much money one politician can make while they're in office. And so that's another thing. So if we want to talk about the greatest country in the world, which is America, and I'll say once again why we are, because we support 179 of the 196 countries in the world financially. Okay, and I'm sure we will figure out a way to support the rest. But right now, 179 of the 196 countries in the world are supported by America financially. So let's talk about what we, the citizens of America, need to think about, because the whole world's counting on us. So when you get up every day and you cut your alarm clock off and you have your coffee and you eat your breakfast, you think things like, well, you know, there's 30 million citizens in the United States that are on welfare and that are getting government assistance, and we need to go out to work and make sure we take care of them. You're thinking too small, okay? When you get up in the morning and have your coffee and go get in your car, you are helping 179 of the 196 countries in the world get what they need to get from us. So you need to strap those boots up. You need to work a little longer. You need to work a little harder. You need to get after it, because the whole world is relying on us. So let's talk about us. Let's talk about the taxpayers in America. There's some things that need to happen right away that would be better for American citizens. It will better protect our constitutional rights. It'll better protect our way of life, but mostly and importantly, it'll better protect the money that we earn that our government then decides to give to the rest of the world. And then at the same time allows the rest of the world to have opinions about us. So right away, if we want to make America greater, I don't think there's any again needed in that sentence. I think America needs to get greater. I think we need to start to evolve and move beyond where we've been stuck for the last 40 years. Where we've been stuck for the last 40 years is between an argument of this left and right picture, which is completely false. All of them are part of the same corrupt system that are just keeping Americans poor as we pay for the rest of the world. And as we are told that our morals don't matter and that our way of life is not right and that we should be doing this and we should be doing that and we should be accepting these and we should be accepting those, at the end of the day, the money we make is paying for all those people to do all those things that we don't agree with. And at the same time, the government that's supposed to represent us does not. And so yesterday they showed pictures of President Trump's failed July the 4th deal they had going on. They counted 8 people on the lawn while they were doing their news broadcast, and they talked about the pizza and a hot dog because there was no one else there to talk about. They showed inside one of the tents, and this is an American birthday celebration. So the only thing that should be seen is Old Glory. It should be our American flag. And what is hanging up there right next to American flag in this event celebrating the American birthday in the United States? Israel's flag, right up there next to ours on our birthday. So let's not forget about Israel, the biggest fund that we fund annually, with totals being up to $16 billion we're giving them each year in taxpayer dollars. And they act as if they are equal, and they may actually, guys, they may actually kill American citizens with some regularity. Going back to a naval ship that was sunk. If you want to see about that, look at Candace Owens' interview. She interviewed one of the gentlemen on the ship. It was an Israeli ship that sunk an American ship and killed Americans, okay? Charlie Kirk, the likelihood is that they had something to do with that as well. And I'm sure as we look past in the past, John F. Kennedy was one that didn't like funding them as well, and he was one that was shot also. So at the end of the day, we are funding the people that would do us harm. And the reason I'm saying this is it has to stop. It's easy. When you want to correct those that stand against you, that are benefiting from your work, all you do is simply remove yourself. It works personally, it works professionally, and it will work politically as well. How do I know? Because it worked in everything in my life that I tried. When things were so bad and didn't get better and people were talking negatively and had awful ideas about me but were benefiting from my work and from my money, when I understood the viewpoint, I then removed myself. And you know what happened? Exactly what you think would happen. They collapse on themselves. They get to the point where they can't carry themselves anymore, and my money is not bolstering them so they can still throw dirt in my direction. So as soon as I removed my money and removed my time, guess what happened? No more negativity came my way. They went away because they had to focus on bigger things like feeding themselves and saving their business and doing things that made sense to try to survive because they didn't have a life of leisure because they were living off the fat of my wealth. And that's what we need to be looking at as Americans. Why are we tolerating a world that talks negatively about us all of the time when 179 countries out of the 196 countries in the world get help from us every year? Okay? So this is what would make America better than what it is, and this is what would keep everything in check like what we need to do. And think about these things. They may sound hardcore, but they are very logical. You know, and I think Americans need to stop being victimized and need to be able to keep the majority of what they earn. And I'm not talking about just the rich. I'm talking about all Americans. Why should any American pay upwards of 30% in taxes? That's a crime. It's theft. Property tax was made because it was supposedly supporting the war and the increased statehood across the country. payroll tax, like your standard state payroll tax, that was supposed to be a temporary thing to help bolster war efforts after one war. And what happens is none of these taxes are ever repealed. We just keep paying them year after year, decade after decade. We watch politicians get richer and richer, and they tell us things like, well, the left and the right, the left and the right. And here's the problem, Americans. When you look at any conversation about anything online, you people, Americans, can't stop cutting each other's throat for a minute to listen to what people are saying and to say, look, here's the facts. But if you put anything into social media context, or even on here, that's truthful and got facts to it, people say, well, check your sources, check your sources. Did you check the sources? You can literally copy and paste everything I posted, put it into AI, and it can tell you where everything came from and why it's true. Yet you're going to type out, check your sources. That's the problem. Social media has allowed the dumb to step up right next to the people that know something and act the same, which is ridiculous. And in the meantime, we have not evolved as human beings in 40 years. It's insane. It's insane. So here's what America needs. And I'm going to rip through this real quick because I don't want this video to be extremely long, and we're already past 10 minutes. So number one is term limits. To limit the corruption and power and richness of politicians, we need to limit the term limits. And also no paychecks for life. You get paid when you're in office and when you're actively doing the duties necessary in office. So if you haven't carried out 80%, more than 80% of the duties required in office, you should not get a paycheck for that year or that term. You should lose your entire paycheck for the term. So term limits, no paycheck for life on all positions in the U.S. government. This keeps them more honest. As corrupt as they are right now, they just get more corrupt over years, and they get bought by other countries, say Israel or somebody like that uses the money we pay them, that then turn around and pay our politicians to vote against us, the American people. It's absurdity. The next would be no international contributions to politicians. Nobody that's running for political office in this country should be able to receive any political contributions from any other countries. They should be able to receive them from businesses in our countries and citizens in our countries, and that's it. So say, let's use a country, for example, say Israel. Maybe they would throw, I don't know, $5-6 million towards one candidate so they can oust another candidate. I don't know, something like Governor Massey that was thrown out of office last election period because he had no money and the Israeli candidate had $5.5 million bolstered to his contributions, his campaign after he got started, when no one had heard of this cat before. So that's a good example. I don't think any foreign contributions should go to politicians. The next is stop foreign aid. Stop foreign aid and stop foreign wars. I use both of them. Foreign influence of our government is illegal. Any politician knowingly taking money from a foreign power that acts against the American people or against the American Constitution should be facing 10 years in prison. I'm tired of hearing about the slaps on the hand, and we don't hear about anybody going to jail. It's time to put these people in prison. If they don't uphold their whole oath to defend the Constitution of the United States and the people of the United States, then they deserve to go to prison, and not a nice prison, a prison where they work for a living, a prison where they have to feed themselves and pay for the light bill. So maybe not even a first world prison. But I think you stop foreign aid and you stop foreign wars, because why are we funding 179 countries in the world, us citizens of this one great nation? Okay? The next one is stop data centers. People deserve clean water and real food, and nature deserves to live and thrive. This has been the yelling and screaming for the last 40 years. Data centers destroy the natural surroundings. They destroy the capacity to live around it, and they devour all of the water. And why can't data centers be cooled by wastewater or gray water? Why do they have to have clean, fresh water to be cooled? It makes no sense. Make it make sense. Okay, stop data centers. The next is the Department of Justice must do its job. If we're going to have the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, and all of the other law enforcement agencies, including ICE, then they must do their job. Political environment should not matter. The rules and the laws are written down. The Constitution is written down. That's what governs our country. All of these people should act by that, and people should pay their penalties no matter what role they're in. So let's say it's a guy who washes wheel wells for a living, and another guy who's the President of the United States. If either one of them commits a crime, they should be punished equally under the Department of Justice. Justice is blind and is supposed to have balances. It should be the same for every U.S. citizen. If they're not a U.S. citizen, get them out of our country. If they're here committing crimes, then the penalty for that should be severe. Severe. All right, the next piece is this, and especially if they commit a violent crime against an American citizen. If someone that's born in another country comes to this country and does something violent to an American citizen, the answer should be the death penalty, and I'll tell you how to handle that in a few minutes. All right, the Constitution, after the DOJ must do its job, the next is the Constitution is the law, period. There should be unity under the rule of law. The borders should be secure. The dollar would be stronger. Anyone trying to limit the Constitution must be prosecuted for treason. So these people that take these oaths to defend the Constitution and then spend the next of their political career attacking the Constitution, those people need to be prosecuted for treason. They broke the oath they took that was required for them to take the office. This can't be tolerated anymore. These career politicians that are having a career getting paid by tax dollars to attack Americans and the American way of life have to get gone. They need to serve time in prison. It should not be something that's okay for them to do that, and then they retire and get paid $170,000 a year for life because we're the idiots that are allowing it to happen. They need to be put in prison and all of their assets taken and then sold and put back into the general tax fund. That's how that needs to happen. Constitutional carry should be for all citizens. Without a felony, you should have the right to carry a weapon wherever you are, period. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you having a gun doesn't put anybody in danger. You need to be trained on how to retain your gun and how to not show off the gun and operate it safely so no mishaps or accidents occur. But constitutional carry should be for all citizens that don't have a felony arrest. Felons caught committing crimes in prison should do 25 years to life. Our prisons are worse than ever. Prisoners go to prison and enjoy continuing to commit horrible crimes against one another while they're in prison. That should have some severity to it. There should be prisons that are hardworking prisons where you have to work from daylight to nighttime, because a lot of American citizens that are free have to work like that to room and board and feed everyone that's in prison. Therefore, prison needs to stop being a country club. The gyms have to go. The libraries have to go. All of the ways for them to earn money has to go. It has to be back to where it's punishment. We're not here trying to just make the person better. We're here to punish them for the crime they committed against society. So that needs to get real. Any prisoner committing a felony in prison should get 25 years to life. If they do that more than once, then the death penalty should be what we're looking at. If the person is not going to correct themselves, if prison is not going to be a correction, then what are we doing? What are we doing? All TVs, gyms, libraries should be removed from prison. Labor-only prisons. Anyone that is arrested for rape, murder, kidnap, child molestation should get the death penalty. Period. Period. End of story. End of story. The next is small government and complete transparency are required. They need to be accountable to the penny. No bill can be longer than 20 pages, because right now they have these big filibuster type bills where you can't read them all, and they're elected and voted into law, and in that law all these other things are getting money and all this back scratching has happened. That's got to go away. 20 pages or less if you want a bill approved in law, and all laws that are currently on the books need to go through them, rip them down to 20 pages. Everything else needs to be omitted, and they need to be reselected as proper laws. This stuff where the citizens are getting taken advantage of and that it takes a full-time job to be able to have time to sit down and read the stuff they're publishing, that's nonsense. Also, people voting on something that's over 3,000 pages, 20,000 pages, that is voted into law the next day, no one read that. No one read that. So they're just making laws in this country to limit American freedoms, and they don't even read what they're voting on. So that needs to be limited now. That needs to start now. Anything that is submitted to go into law needs to be 20 pages or less. It needs to be in terms that the standard layman can read. And honestly, it should be published online for American citizens to review. And if you see that the person you've elected is not voting in a way that's consistent with your beliefs and morals, that person needs to go. This is how we make America greater, guys. Pay attention. I'm almost done. Any agency attacking a person's constitutional rights must be prosecuted under federal law and heavy fines levied. Okay, so if there's an agency out there, say if there's a person that doesn't think someone should have the right to have a weapon in their home. Let's say it's a homeowners association. that decides people can't have their weapons in their home. They should be sued out of existence. Everybody that had a participatory role in that vote should be in jail. You're attacking someone's constitutional rights in the United States of America on property that says it's the United States. In the United States, the Constitution of the United States is the law. If you're trying to go above and beyond, if you're trying to limit someone's constitutional rights, then you should go to prison. Constitution is the law of the land, not politicians. The Constitution is here to limit the government, not the citizens. So we need to get that correct. Next is health care for all citizens. We pay the rest of the world to operate. Every citizen in this country should have health care, and it should be covering what we're already paying, period. Stop paying the rest of the world to operate and pay that our citizens have medical coverage that is significant so that if they get sick, it doesn't ruin their entire family for life. Enough with the nonsense about we can't afford it. Enough with the nonsense that the quality of care would be less. Enough. We pay 179 of the 196 countries in the world. 179 of the 196 countries in the world get money from us. Our citizens, the people that are earning the tax money that's going to all these people, they deserve the right to have health care so they can keep working and slaving so all these people can live off of their necks. ID to vote for all citizens, period. Anyone arguing with this, any country, any state in the country arguing for this, any politician in the country arguing for this should go to prison. They are going against the Constitution. They are trying to allow some kind of corruption in our voting processes. If they had limited term limits, you would see that one time after we limited terms, that would be voted in, no questions asked, done. We wouldn't be going back and forth over it for 40 years. The next is a paternal DNA test should be at the birth of all citizens. And if someone's born in this country, they are a citizen. Why? Because I was born in this country and that made me a citizen. So if some other kid is lucky enough to be born in here because his parents were able to get him here, then he is a citizen. Okay? If it was through a loophole because our government was breaking the law, well, that's politicians that broke those laws, not that little citizen. You understand? If he's born here, he's a citizen. Paternal DNA tests are by law mandatory at all births, 100%. This is why. Men pay for kids that aren't theirs for decades before they find out the child's not theirs. Women claim no paternity payment, no child support, and they can put the man in jail without ever proving that the kid is actually his. That should be against the law. It's ridiculous that men are going to jail because women lie. Get this, folks. Women lie. So, paternal tests at birth should be required because it handles the problem simply enough. It should be required. And for someone confused on why we wouldn't require maternal tests at birth, there's other ways that prove that the mother's the mother. All right, next is Solomon's Law. If someone falsely accuses someone else of a crime and it is proven that they have done so, then they have to suffer the penalty for the crime that the other person would have suffered. Because there's too many people claiming someone did them wrong and the person is ruined because they defend themselves, ruined financially because they have to defend themselves in this false claim, and then the person goes away scot-free after that. Funk that noise. Solomon's Law. If you bring false charges against somebody, there's no proof to support the situation, then those penalties should now be on your back. You should be the one that goes to a labor prison for the rest of your life so taxpayers get the benefit of your efforts. Corporations cannot buy residential land or farmland, period. Foreign countries cannot buy residential land or farmland, period. Look how easy that was. Not difficult to write, not difficult to say, shouldn't be difficult to make law. America must truly come first. Others acting in foreign interests must be prosecuted. That's a little repetitive, but I'll say it again. America must come first. Our taxpayers must be protected and must come first. Why? Because we finance 179 of the 196 countries in the world. The whole world is leaning on us. The whole world needs us. So our taxpayers are extremely important. We need to protect them. We need to protect them, number one, from the biggest threat against them, which is the American government and overtaxation. It should be illegal, starting today, for any company to charge citizens over a 10% interest rate. It should be illegal right now for any company to charge a citizen over a 10% interest rate. It's insane that companies make billions upon billions of dollars and people have to use loans and things. They get by sometimes because it's difficult when we're out here doing what we have to do and we're supporting 179 of the 196 countries in the world. Taxpayers do not have to pay more than 10% in taxes, and no company should be able to charge a citizen more than 10% interest rate on any loan. That needs to be law today. All death penalties need to be carried out within 5 years of the original crime. All death penalties need to be carried out within 5 years. Right now, what happens in America, if you get the death penalty, you get to live 30, 40 years before you are put to death. No. All death penalties should be carried out within 5 years of the crime. And the only way we put people to death should be organ harvest. Listen to me. That sounds cruel and unusual. It's not. It's taking someone who has penalized America by taking away a valuable citizen, or more than one, who would be contributing to helping us pay for 179 of the 196 countries of the world. And it is taking that person who did that, who violated that human being and got the death penalty, and letting them live off of us, meals, housing, no job, sitting, lying, relaxing in a prison cell, smoking cigarettes, doing things that are not helpful or healthy in any way for decades. While the taxpayer, the hard-working person, the person that would have been a benefit society, has now been gone, taken from us, and this person gets to live for the rest of it, and then we kill them. And they serve no purpose then. Why not create one death penalty across all states? And that's organ harvest. Organ harvest. You have people that are born that are innocent people that have debilitating physical situations where they desperately need organs. And we're throwing all these organs away for these killers when we could just harvest them and donate them to people and get that donation list shrunk, if not completely done away with. So that's my expectation. Prison shouldn't be a lifestyle. Folks that celebrate prison and illegality should not be a lifestyle. The Department of Justice, the law of the land needs to be the law of the land. If people are criminals, then they need to be treated as criminals. Prison needs to quit being a boarding school. It needs to be an actual prison where it is punishment. It is punitive. This idea that the whole thing is just for reformation and to better the person, they didn't enroll in school. They violated a law and victimized someone else. So they need to be punished. That needs to be the focus of prison. And if it's heavy labor like it used to be, those people don't have the energy to harm each other at night in the showers. They don't have the energy to commit more violent crimes as animals inside of these cages. What happens is they're tired enough that they go in and go to sleep. They're not motivated to do anything else because they've worked 14 to 19 hours a day. Cruel and unusual punishment means the way it is given. It doesn't mean work versus relaxation. Why is it right for the worst in America to go and relax in prisons for years for us citizens to pay for them? The rest of the world needs us. Why are we paying for these people who are no benefit to themselves or society? And here's the other thing about that. I think people come from bad situations and they need to have the best situations put to them. I think locking the interest rate and the taxes that Americans have to pay would limit how bad some things are for some people, and the American dollar could be stretched further. The idea that we increase minimum wages and we keep paying more and more, that doesn't help the dollar. The dollar itself needs to be stronger and needs to have greater purchasing power. The way you do that is through what I'm suggesting here. So, right at almost 30 minutes, I just think these things need to be said out loud, need to be talked about. The left-right argument is tired, and the fact that we've done that for 40 years and nothing has improved, at some point, people need more from something. After all, 179 of the 196 countries in the world are relying on us. So we need to get our act together, okay? Papa's got bills to pay. We need to make sure we do it in the best way we can. These are my thoughts. I love living in America. I think it's the greatest country in the world because we support the entire earth. And I think at the end of the day, the only people that can make it better are us. And at some point, we need to make it better. And what we're getting from our politicians is not good. It's not good enough. They're criminals. We need to prosecute the criminals, number one. the one in the top positions need to be prosecuted, just like the dudes changing tires. It's the same. We are the same based on the law, which is the Constitution. I hope this was interesting to you. I hope it creates some conversation. If you've got some feedback in that, throw it in the comments and send it back to me. I'm Ben. Be good.